Welcome back to the Real Revenue Show, where we discuss real business concepts that'll help you grow and scale any business model. We're your hosts. I'm Malcolm Bowser. This is Andre Trust, back with you guys for another great episode. Dre, welcome back, bro.
I'm always happy to be here every single chance I get.
Yes.
I'm just trying to put smiles on faces.
You know what I mean? That's it, man. That's it. Soon we're going to be putting together, a resource for, a compilation resource of these principles that we've come up with, of these concepts. So you can get them all in one place and you can further build your business that way. So I'm excited about that as well. On the last episode, Dre, you spoke about life just kind of kicking your ass, right? Your business life just kind of kicking your ass. And you don't have to get into specifics, but I wanted to kind of get into that, like why that is. And because you're going through a negotiation right now. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get your perspective on like what that is for you, how you kind of maneuver that, and what are some of the pitfalls people go through when negotiating some of these high stakes business moves.
Okay. It's funny when I try to put negotiations into like a category, I view it as like war.
Forgot it.
Right. So like I don't view it as like, oh, we're gonna have a conversation. I view it as like there's principles that go into a good negotiation. Number one is like there's nothing that's off the table. Like I was speaking to one of my buddies the other day, and he was wanting to negotiate for a rental. I think he wanted to do like an event space, and he came to me. He's like, "Hey man, I wanted an event space, but I don't have the capital to kind of like build it up." I said, "Hey, like, did you ask the landlord to build it up?" And he was like, why would I ask the landlord if he could build it out? I was like, that's a part of the negotiation. If you want me to utilize your space, I would like you to give me $100,000 to build up this place to its max capability in order to rent it out. And when I leave, it's still built up. Mm-hmm. So it's an asset for you. You should there's so much that goes into negotiation that the first principle I would probably say is that there are no rules in what you can ask for. It's either they're going to say no or they're going to say yes, but there's no you can't ask for something.
Yeah, that's important because I usually I talk myself out of a lot of things. I go, no, I'm bugging. Like I'm not gonna ask that. But you're right. Like they can only say the worst they can say is no.
Mm-hmm. The worst that they could say is no. Yeah. Now you do have to do research, right? So it goes back to what I was talking about when I mentioned war. Right. So in the military or in the Marine Corps, there's a phrase that we always talk about. I've mentioned this before, but I'm gonna mention it again. Right. It's called critical vulnerability. So what we do is it's called turning the map around. So we pretend to be the enemy. Right. We think about their strategies. We think about how they're gonna do things. And then we look at the enemy's army and we try to find a weakness within that army. Such a weakness that it's not a weakness, it's their strength, but because it's so much of their strength, it also becomes a vulnerability if it gets taken out of the fight.
Got you.
For example, if you're going up against an army and they have a really large tank, and that tank can kill 200 people with every blast. And it's like without that tank, they're susceptible to fast attacks, airstrikes, X, Y, and Z, right? The goal and the mission is now going to be to take out that tank at all costs. Like, let's screw everything else. The mission is how fast can we get that tank taken down? So when you're going into negotiations, it's really good to try to find leverage. What's something that, would really mess this person up, in terms of the negotiation? So example, I think last year we were looking at a location for like our own like events and stuff like that. And the way it was set up, the guy had like these really large columns inside of the building.
Okay.
Like they're just messing up the infrastructure. And he was trying to subdivide and have like a place on the left, but a place on the right. but the way that the ducts, everything was set up, exhaust set up, it would not work for one person to get one or the other. They would need to get both. And because they need to get both, a lot of people can't just afford to come out the gate and get both sides. It doesn't make sense. So the place had gone unrented for like 3 years. So now he's hurting for money. He's like, all right, where'd I? So then we swooped in and I'm like, hey, like these columns are in the way. And like we looked at the place, we looked at everything, and it's like, all right, these columns are in the way, man. We know that if we choose one side, he'll never be able to rent the other. It's physically, it would make no conceptual business concept, strength, whatever you want to call it, to rent that right side out because the right side is useless without the left.
Right.
So then it was just a smoke show. We ended up not getting the place, but it was a smoke show. He was willing to give up, TIA or tenant improvement allowances. He was willing to lower the rent, do all of these things, and just like, so it's just a matter of trying to find high stakes leverage on the deal as well.
Got it.
Also, not being afraid to walk away. That's the biggest thing. I see a lot of people going into negotiations knowing that they're not willing to walk away from the deal. At all times, I'm willing to walk away from the deal. It sucks, man. Like, it sucks. Like, I'm in one negotiation right now, and we're working it out, and I pray this works. But if it doesn't, I'm going to walk away. Right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. It's just kind of like, we have parameters that we need to meet, and if we can't meet those parameters, then I have to walk away. But the ability to walk away is what allows you to have a built-in leverage. Or have some built-in leverage, right? Because they're like, all right, I want to do this deal with this person. I don't want them to walk away. If they walk away, what does that mean, right? I got to go find another person. I got to go find another buyer. I got to go find another person to like look through the finances with and build up rapport with. It's so much annoyance that when you get somebody at the final position,
right,
and y'all are going back and forth, it's because you don't want to have to go find someone else. It's actually really annoying.
Got you.
Right? So trying to find your own built-in leverage points is something phenomenal. Like you mentioned earlier, right? That like in your predicament, sometimes you sabotage yourself by being like, I'm not going to ask for that.
Yeah.
So like, why? If I had to turn it back on you, why do you feel that way?
Because I'll be completely honest with you. I don't want to come off like an annoyance in negotiations. Like, I don't want to, he asking for this and that. Like, or like, who do you even think you are? Because sometimes when some people ask me certain things, I'm just like, wait, what? Like, why does that even make sense? So I don't want to be on the other end of that.
Okay. So I think another thing too is to clearly establish that you're in a negotiation.
That too.
Right. So that's one of the things that we do up front. It's like, hey, we'll reach back out to you to begin the negotiations.
Yeah.
Like that's a very clear statement. Like we say that every time. Hey, we will be in touch to begin the negotiation so that they understand that it will be a back and forth.
Like our workspace right now, we got it for very cheap because they were having a flooding problem. Yeah. At one point. And we knew that the guy was unable to really rent it out because we saw so many people come and go. So we got this place cheap, and I don't think the guy knew that we knew. And he gave us a price, and we were just like, "Yo, y'all aren't y'all getting a lot of issues here?" Because I don't know if you like a couple years ago, we had like really really bad rain in New York to the point like things were flooding, like things were actually flooding. And this place is on the ground floor. So they were having problems here, and then so we came like as we were thinking about it, we're like, but this place does flood. Like to ourselves, what parameters can we put in place just in case that does happen? So we got that. So we already had our plan in place just in case that happened, but we had to let dude know, like, listen, we know that y'all have problems here, and yeah, we know for a fact that y'all having problems renting it out. So he gave it to us for cheap.
The leverage.
I mean, that was like a real basic, level of negotiation. But I was proud of that. You know what I mean? Like we were able to come like, fam, like don't play.
So you mentioned that just now too. So I'll piggyback off that. Is having an escape plan. Right, I had to learn that the hard way. I had mentioned it before on the show, but finding like building in an escape plan that protects you. So like when we're doing negotiations with like deals for money, one of my things is like I have to get paid back first. Right? It's like if anybody's gonna have a lien against this business or idea or concept, it's me, and I'm gonna be in the first position.
Got you.
Right? And or I'm gonna be in a pool of first position liens, but I'm not gonna be fifth on the list. I refuse to be fifth on the list for payback. So it's like first position lien against the whole thing. So that's another thing as well, is like trying to build in an escape plan that allows you to walk away from a deal, or pay your fee that you got a penalty or whatever that is, and you would just be able to walk away. I think most times people get trapped into deals not realizing that once again there's are no rules to negotiation. It's completely up to the imagination in terms of like what you can ask for, how you can structure it, what can you set up. Literally, if you can think about it, a lawyer can just put it together.
Got you. So, what
Right.
was your longest negotiation? Because I
Um.
think people, and for a while, myself included, like you think of negotiation, like we all come into the office, everybody's cursing each other out, but by the end of the meeting, a deal is done. And sometimes a lot of people say like, no, sometimes negotiation can go for months for at a
Mhm.
time because it's so many details regarding a deal. So, what was
Yeah.
your
For,
longest?
for me, a lot of my stuff is like real estate. So
Okay,
I'm like so I think the longest was like like Flavor Hills location one was about like 2 weeks. We
okay,
did due diligence on it for like a month or so,
got it.
but like the actual like, hey, we're gonna hammer out these details was about 2 weeks, I think.
Now, is that
Of
you
just like
hammering
back
out the
and forth.
details, you and your partner, or like do you have lawyers? Do you have other professionals involved that are like, you talked about like say a location and the architect of the building or something like that. Do you need like those type of professionals in there to work out those type of specifics, or do you guys
So
come in with the details ready? Like this is what our professional said.
because we've been in real estate so long,
That too. Oh, you're right.
we have like our real estate attorney that's on the back end.
Okay.
So like anything that might confuse us in the last hour, I might hit my guy Donald like, hey, what's up, bro? Like this doesn't really sit right.
Got you.
Or like what does this mean? Or hey, they said this in the clause here. Like what does this explain? So, but I would recommend though definitely if you're not in the space of what you're trying to do,
Right.
to definitely have an attorney or somebody that really understands what's being written down on those pages, because it could get very ugly very quickly.
Gotcha.
When court cases come around and they bring out wording,
Right.
things get very drastic very quickly. So in my situation, about 2 weeks, and then we just normally have our attorney on the back end clean up anything that we might have a little bit of confusion on,
Gotcha.
and then we also just learn in blood.
Gotcha. So what what could make what's one of the things for you that could make a negotiation go south? Like what's one of the things that like I don't budge, I never budge on this. Like you said, getting paid first, but what's
Mhm.
something else that's just like yeah, like I don't budge on this, and if you even think about bringing that to me, it's not a go.
If they withhold information,
Okay.
I just can't trust you. I think you're not trustworthy. Like if you don't tell me what it is to start, then I can't trust you. Like once like that, I was mentioning about that place. The guy came up very straightforward, like, hey, right, we have two columns inside of this place. The exhaust are in the wrong spot. And he laid it all out on the front line so that it wasn't a question of why didn't you tell me this? Why am I seeing this in the plans? You knew this. That
Right.
means you're trying to con me.
Right.
I can't do business with anybody that's trying to con me. If you're not going to be stand up and tell what the problems are, then I can't deal with that.
So
That's like an absolute no go for me. Like if
got
they're
you.
not transparent, and certain things that I'm going to be able to find out, then I can't deal with that, man.
What's one of the things that you've done early in your career that made a negotiation go south? Like, what was something that was your fault? If there was anything that was your fault.
Um, we didn't have our financial picture in the correct order,
Okay.
right? So there's something called like I can't remember the term of it right now. It's it's like a cash flow specialist, right? So there's people who specialize in making your accounts look immaculate for loans, immaculate for leases, immaculate for anything that you're trying to do. So in the beginning stages, we went through everything. We felt good. It was great. And then they're like, yeah, send over all of your financials. And we're like, what? And we sent over the financials. And they're like, whoa, none of this isn't, well, yeah, you're done. Get out of here. Scram. So now, Tells and I have like an immaculate financial picture. Like we have like a file that's dedicated to like, we have all of our tax returns in that file. We have all of our personal financial statements. We update, our personal financial statements once a quarter. We have like real estate schedules that show all of our assets that we own, all of our businesses that we own, anything that we have profit and loss statements for businesses. We have all of these things, anything that could be imagined in terms of, what they would want for a deal to go through.
Right.
We have at ready to go. And one of the things that's so dope about that plug, I'm gonna give away the keys right here, right? One of the things that loan officers look for, right? This is an internal test that they won't talk about, but this is like known, is how organized you are when you send your documents in, right? Because that tells that, are they serious or are they playing? So if I ask you right now, if I say, hey, Malcolm, I need these 18 documents, and you say to me, yeah, it's going to take me 2 weeks to get it, is very different from 18 documents. Hey, man, check your email. They're there. It's like, oh, these dudes are not playing around. This is a very serious operation.
Gotcha.
And they're not kidding. Like, this is very well thought through. They have the stuff that means that they're in this realm and they know what they're doing.
Gotcha.
So having, tax returns, business tax returns, personal financial statement, bank account statement, or having access to your bank account statements,
Right.
Profit and losses for the business, year to date for the business, stuff like that, all phenomenal. Business plans organized. If you're trying to expand, things like that, it's all necessary.
Gotcha.
So doing those things up front, I didn't do that in the past, and we fumbled with our documents, and that put us in a predicament to lose out on some stuff. But the best thing I would say is like being organized with your documents and paperwork.
Gotcha.
Like paperwork is like it's the most boring thing on the face of the planet, but paperwork reigns. Right, 99% of the businesses that I talk to fail because of paperwork. They just won't do the paperwork. Where it's like, we got to put a package in, but it's like, yeah, you got to put a package in because they need to verify and make sure. Like, if you were, I always tell people to like turn it on the other hand, like what I was saying when we do war strategies, right? Turn it around. If I'm going to lend you money, wouldn't I want to make sure that I'm going to get my money back?
Right.
So how would I verify that I'm going to get my money back?
Right.
I need to see the money that you're making. I need to see the past records of the money that you've been making. I need to see the current of what you've been making. And I need to know if the business fails, do you have some assets low key that I can like try to get? Like, can I run up on you like and really try to get you for something else? Right? Is there something that I can get back? And it's like, it's just a part of the game. Right? Is just how it works. So being able to leverage things, and put them up as collateral is big. So having those real estate schedules, having those asset schedules, having the profit and losses, all of these things are important, or you're just gonna lose up front. So for me, we went through the whole process, got super excited, felt good, was ready to roll, and then we sent in our financials, not understanding how it was supposed to be set up, and it's like, no, thumbs down, get out of here.
Got you.
All right, so that was something that got me in the beginning, and we don't play with that ever. Like that file is always on go. We send out like, we were joking, but we got asked for our financial statements like 2 days ago. My partner was like, "What?" He sent it in like, "Okay, yeah, like you think this is a game? Like, nah, all documents are inside of there. In fact, we added 17 documents that you didn't ask for, but I know you need.
Yeah.
If that's the case, but." We get really riled up about stuff like that because we made a mistake in the past. We don't play that ever again.
Dope. All right, man. Well, I also have a quick plug.
Okay.
My guy Trevor Castleberry, he just actually is in the process of finishing his latest book, How to Negotiate and Get More for What You Ask. That's coming out this year, as a matter of fact. He has 3 books in that series. It's For the Hustler, Volume 1. Volume 2 is The Investment and the Investor. And Volume 3 is How to Negotiate and Get More than What You Ask. I did a great interview with him on my YouTube channel, and he goes into negotiation and things like that. So it was really, really interesting on his principles and how he looks at negotiations as well. So, quick plug.
Quick plug, always a quick plug.
Yeah, I'll have him on the pod soon because he listens to us as well, and he was very excited to about what we had to say. So I'll definitely have him on here as well. All right. So with that being said, guys, this has been another episode of the Real Revenue Show. I'm Malcolm. This is Andre. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you want us to talk about something else specifically. If you've gone through your own negotiation, what was that like for you? And we will be putting together a compilation of these things as well. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever, don't forget to leave a rating and a comment. We would appreciate it a lot. So with that being said, peace.
Peace.